Starting.
Okay, we're all set.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to
the flag
the United States of America
of America,
and to the republic,
for which it stands,
one nation,
under
God, indivisible, with liberty.
and justice for all.
Roll call, Trish,
Mrs. Brew,
here.
Mr. Kramer,
Here.
Mr. Menegini,
Here.
Mr. Marraro. Mr. Marraro. I can see he's here. Jeff, can you hear me? Well, Mr. Pop,
Here.
we can see Jeff is here.
I got no sound.
You just
If
don't
you
have.
guys can hear me, I can't hear you,
We can,
but I'm here.
okay.
Okay.
We'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the agenda. Support.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Menegini,
Yes.
Mr. Marraro, Mr. Pop,
Yes.
Mrs. Brew.
Yes.
Mr. Marraro? Jeff, do you approve the agenda?
Yes. Sorry, I got technical difficulties. I couldn't hear you guys.
We'll move on to the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of October 5th, 2020.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of October 5th, 2020.
Support.
Mr. Menegini,
Yes.
Mr. Marraro,
Yes.
Mr. Pop,
Yes.
Mrs. Brew,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer.
Yes.
Move on to the approval of the manifest 2020-20. Scott, do you have any questions?
I have nothing for tonight.
Brett?
I have none.
Jeff?
I do not.
Lee?
Yeah, I got one question here, just curiosity. 204, that's the bucket truck. International bucket truck inspection, labor supplies, a little over $2,000. Was there anything major found wrong, Ray, or just little issues on that?
I don't believe so. I think that you just have to go through our annual inspection and
Mhm. Well, just when it said supplies, I was just kind of wondering, maybe
no,
that's pretty much the going rate, I guess, eh?
yeah.
Okay, that's all I have.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the the manifest, number 2020-20 in the amount of $494,449.62.
Support.
Mr. Marraro,
Yes.
Mr. Pop,
Yes.
Mrs. Brew, Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Menegini.
Yes.
Going to have Mr. Anderson for answers to the previous manifest questions.
There were no outstanding questions from the last meeting.
Okay. Anyone wishing to address the council on an agenda item only will be unmuted and given an opportunity to make their comments. For participants on Zoom, you can use the raise your hand feature and the host will initiate the unmute. For telephone participants, hit 9 to indicate a request to speak. State your name and address for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person.
Okay, nobody's raising their hand, so we can move on.
Move on to a public hearing. Do I have a motion to go into public hearing?
A motion, we go into public hearing.
Support.
Mr. Pop,
Yes.
Mrs. Brew,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Minigini,
Yes.
Mr. Marrero.
Yes.
We're talking about the legal marijuana ordinance, Mr. Anderson.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. At our last meeting, we held public hearing, open and closed, on the legal marijuana issue or request. Request was to have the city amend its current ordinance to allow for establishments within the city limits. After closing that public hearing, council agreed that we would put out a survey in our newsletter, which goes in with the utility bills. And that survey would have a simple question of yes or no, depending, do you agree, yes or no, with allowing for establishments of legal marijuana within the city limits? And that went out in the utility bill, which hit the box probably around the 12th, or actually it was the week of the 6th. It's the 5th and 6th. So for the better part of a week, we've been receiving those surveys. Just a reminder that they are a non-binding survey, and also that we aren't talking about whether or not you can use marijuana. That issue was solved in the statewide referendum. It is just that whether or not facilities such as the dispensaries or sale, the grow facilities, and there's a couple others, transport and provisioning, if they would be able to open up facilities within the city limits. So after that meeting, or after the public hearing, council asked staff to again publish for a public hearing for this meeting, to have a second public hearing, giving a chance to again have a public comment. Our petitioners are online at the meeting tonight, and if you have any questions for them or if they have comments, so we're opening up the public hearing at this time. I'm going to ask Mr. Garrett and Ms. Moore, who they're part of the petitioners. If council has any questions for them at this time, or if they have any questions or comments back to the council. Can you guys hear me? Can Joni or Keith?
Yeah, I can hear you, Ray. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. So do you have any okay, Joni, you can unmute, I guess, at this point, Joni, if you.
Okay, there we go. Sorry. Yeah, I'm here, and I'm here as well, open for questions. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Okay, so could council have any questions for the petitioners at this point?
I don't have any, Ray.
I don't have any questions.
I don't have any.
Thought this is more for the public to have
Yeah.
questions for them.
Okay, so is there anybody in the public, I guess, that would have any questions who's online or any comments? If you do, use the raise your hand feature as the mayor mentioned, and I will unmute you and you'll have an opportunity to ask your questions. So at this point, we're not having anybody raise their hands. Does council have any questions for staff at this point?
I have nothing.
Okay,
What was the final, Ray, what was the final total today?
so
It's not-
I just did one last check, and we're at basically 121 for no and 60 for yes, so it's about 2 to 1 at this point.
On 181 responses.
Yeah.
How many city bills go out?
Oh gosh, we have 2,200.
All right.
2,200. So, what we noticed is that the initial response was predominantly no. Over the last, I would say at the end of last week and to today, a lot of the more of the yes votes were coming in, or yes respondents.
Lee, do you remember what the when it was on the ballot? Do you remember what the percentage it got defeated by was?
Something like 60-40,
60-40. Okay,
something
it
like
was-
that. Yeah, I
okay.
could.
Yeah, somewhere in that
points either
ballpark.
way.
All right.
Yeah.
And this is really trending similar. It's 66-33 basically.
Yeah.
It's basically a third.
What a small sample.
Very small
Sample set right now. What we got? We got 2 weeks left before everything's in. Week and a half, 10 days.
Yeah, that was one of the suggestions, was that, we've really only had a little more than a week. And so, if you went to the November 2nd meeting, you get to the end of the month and could still, especially for folks that are watching, they'll see this on Wednesday, that they could still get those in and try and get a higher representation of respondents.
That's what I would think we should do, wait until the first of the November 2nd meeting.
Agreed.
Does anybody else have a problem with that? Okay,
As
so
long as we don't have to advertise it again, I'm all for it.
No, we don't. We've held 2 public hearings. I think that, at this point, we got to schedule it right into communications for the vote.
so
And
people,
if you guys have any more information you want, you by all means let me know, and I'll try to get some more information. I do have a request. Keith, can you hear me?
Keith, you're on mute.
Yeah,
Okay.
can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, can I just say a few words?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for having this meeting tonight. I really appreciate it. It's a compliment to your city to keep researching this issue. And I know it's not a real easy thing to understand, and I compliment you for taking the time to go ahead with it. Just a few things I want to get across. The state of Michigan, I know when you send out a questionnaire like that, the people that are negative are gonna, it's been known that they're gonna answer negative before the people that are positive are gonna answer. But statistically, marijuana has been legal in Michigan since 2008, and it's legal in the state. It's not going anywhere. And the state is encouraging dispensaries, and they want this business to be legal because, it is legal, but they want to bring it out front because they get taxed and all the product gets tested. So they want to take it off of the black market and eliminate the black market. And the way to do that is to legalize it. And they're leaving it up to municipalities to do that. It's highly supported by law enforcement, and it's highly regulated. Joni can attest to that. And there's a lot of municipalities in the UP and in Southern Michigan that are opting in at this time. A lot of them opted out to begin with, and now they're seeing the economic development opportunities. It's probably the only business where the state is going to pay the city money to open up a business. So it's a once in a lifetime opportunity for the municipalities to get on the bandwagon. The city would receive 15% of the 10% excise tax, and we as a company would enter into a community partnership agreement with the city of Norway. And we can't really get into all the details because we don't want it to look like we're buying our way in, but we have done partnership agreements in other cities like Crystal Falls, We're gonna do one in Munising. Just recently, Menominee opted in, Ironwood opted in. Today, the township of Portage opted in. So a lot of these communities are seeing the advantage of it. And for us, we're applying for one dispensary, and we estimate that dispensary would generate about $100,000 in revenue to the city of Norway. And you could use that money for whatever purposes you wish. Like Ray mentioned, the high school might need a new track, and you need road repair, that type of thing. I just think where that money goes. So it would provide a lot of jobs, between 15 and 20 full-time jobs that are one dispensary. And these are high-paying jobs, full-time jobs with full benefits. And, you know, a lot of people that they don't necessarily want to use marijuana, or they don't feel good about, but we liken it to a liquor store. Just because there's a liquor store in your town doesn't mean everybody's going to go drink too much to excess, and the kids are going to drink and that type of thing. So it's here to stay. It's an opportunity for the city of Norway. They have, they have dispensaries in Iron Mountain. We're going to open in Crystal Falls. It's going to be in Menominee. So it's not like people are not going to go to a dispensary. It's just a matter of whether you're going to be able to take advantage of the opportunity. So we'd really hope that you would, vote favorably for this ordinance.
Lee, just to back up your point you made last time we talked, the first dispensary in Iron Mountain opened, I think, Saturday or Sunday. So it is open to the public. That's the Rise Up dispensary. So as Keith says, it is here, and it's 10 miles away. So again, no matter what my personal opinion is on, the legalization of marijuana, the state has made it illegal, has legalized it. And it's as close as our dispensaries are, as close as Iron Mountain now, and open to the public.
Joni, did you have anything to say?
I think I have to be unmuted, maybe?
You are.
Okay. Thank you, Keith. You made a lot of really good points, and I, support and agree with everything that you said there. I think that one of the best points is it's right there in Iron Mountain, and everybody knows what I think about cannabis, that it's an amazing medicinal plant. I know a lot of people don't agree, or some people, it sounds, in your community don't agree. And a lot of that is fear, possibly, of the unknown. But I think, it's just a really good point that it's already there, whether it's the illegal market or if it's down the road in the regulated market. But that's why the state of Michigan has gone this route, is to get it off the streets and get it out of the illegal hands and into the regulated areas where it's tested, so we know it's a safe product. And we keep underage people from purchasing. So,
Joni, do you have any fear at all of too much competition? Like there's way too many motels in the area? Because I see Iron Mountain got the 2 places, and they're already talking about expanding that to more. And here you're talking about here, and now supposedly going to be 2 in Crystal Falls, and all over the place they're popping up. Are you concerned at all about too much competition, and you won't really make a goal of it, or exceed your goals, or whatever?
No, Lee, I don't really worry about that, because I know that what we produce is a high quality product, and I do believe in the free market, and I think those things will sort themselves out as people get into their businesses. And I mean, that's just what America is all about. So no, I support that.
Another thing, Lee, is that we are vertically integrated. Meaning we grow our own marijuana. We have a grow facility in Humboldt Township, or we're going to build another one in the UP. And so what that means is by growing our own, some of the competition, they buy their own, they buy the the marijuana wholesale, and it's quite a difference. The vertically integrated companies are going to survive if it gets real competitive.
I see.
Our cost of doing business would be about 80% less than theirs.
Mm.
Any other questions?
Madam Mayor, can I ask them a question? So I know this isn't really something that an individual municipality is really going to be able to address, or at least effectively, but just from your guys' background in your work on a larger regional statewide basis, or even maybe multiple state. One of the areas law enforcement has concerns is that if you look at a couple of states that were well before Michigan, such as Colorado or Washington, where they do have some statistics on some of the negative socioeconomic um, um, effects, mainly in the larger communities. But have you had any conversations in your travels about how Michigan's going to avoid that?
Well, yeah, I can address that, Ray. For instance, the studies that we have been privy to in Colorado, there's no increase in crime since the legalization of marijuana. It's supported 100% by law enforcement. Actually, the DUIs are down 15% since marijuana became legal. The black market arrests were up because they'd taken the illegal marijuana off the streets, and there's no negative effect on high school graduation rates in Colorado since marijuana has been legalized, and it's not experiencing any increase in youth usage of marijuana. Alcohol abuse is more common than marijuana abuse since it's been legal. So I think in addition to that, there's I just liken it to the liquor store type thing. If somebody's going to be a user of marijuana, they're gonna find it, the marijuana, and it's not gonna. I mean, whether you have an ordinance in Norway or not, it's not gonna prevent people from using marijuana that want to use marijuana, and it's legal. So it's just like a liquor store. So I hope that answered your question, but in these states that we've researched, there has been no adverse effect on the population with the legalization of marijuana, but that's been addressed by the state of Michigan because it's been legal since 2008, and it'll probably be legal nationwide pretty soon. So I think it's just an opportunity for a city like yours to take advantage of the opportunities that the state has given you.
You keep saying 2008. That was for medical marijuana, no? Since 2008?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So actually, it's only 2018 that they made it recreational legal.
Correct.
Keith, I find it interesting that you talked about DUIs being down 15% in Colorado. Do the police in Michigan have a statewide way to check drivers under the influence of marijuana?
I don't know the answer to that.
Well, the answer is no. And, so we have to be careful. In my opinion, I'd be careful throwing that around. People under the influence are people under influence when they're driving motor vehicles. It just happens that there's not a breathalyzer yet for marijuana. And Grant, if I'm wrong on that, please correct me.
They have they've been running a saliva test. It was a pilot program for about 2 years. And they've been now put that into effect. It's kind of like a PBT, with the roadside preliminary breath test. You can actually do a saliva test. Has varying levels of accuracy. It's not admissible in court, just like a breath test is not. But they do have DRE experts that are trained to identify individuals that are under the influence of very poor quite yet. They're still drawing blood and using blood analysis.
So the answer is no, we don't have a real effective field way of, as we do with alcohol.
Correct, and the problem also is the legislature hasn't caught up yet with the new laws. It's still the presence of marijuana or the presence of a controlled substance. There's no real limit. Like drunk driving is a 0.08. They don't have that defined level yet for marijuana, so it does put into for inadvertent drinking or impaired driving or operating under the influence.
Thanks, Grant.
Any other questions or comments? We have anybody, Ray?
I don't have, nope, there's nobody else is raising their hand at this point.
Alrighty, then I would need a motion to go back into regular session.
I make a motion to go back in regular session.
Support. Thanks, Keith and Joni.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mrs. Brew,
Yes,
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Menegini,
Yes.
Mr. Marraro,
Yes.
Mr. Pop.
Yes.
move on to communications, approval wastewater to DSO heat tape, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There's a request from the wastewater department. The current heat tape that's on the roof of the CSO is not functioning and is in need of being replaced. We got pricing for getting that replaced, and we have MJ Electric out of Iron Mountain that has the low responsive price of $2,000. This is a maintenance item, so it goes through our 861 account.
Are there any questions? If not, I need a motion.
I make a motion that the wastewater department be approved for the CSO heat tape.
Support.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Menegini,
Yes.
Mr. Marraro,
Yes.
Mr. Pop. Mr. Pop. I can read your lips. Mrs. Brew,
Yes. We'll move on to the approval of the salt shed project security fencing CO number 1.
Okay, well, the last part of our project is set to start, the security fencing. And they came up for a pre-job walk, and both Dave and Scott went through and walked the perimeter, making sure everything was in order. One of the things they noticed was that there was a 16-foot opening that was requested and priced. And after looking at it, they requested that to be increased to 24 feet. And then the other part of that is that in our security planning, we talked about the possibility down the road of having actuated gates so that when they're coming in and out, getting materials, that they can use the automatic openers. And if we do go to that, there's one pole and it needs to be in concrete in order to have that done. And talking with the fence contractor, he said that if we did it now, it's going to be much cheaper than if we decide to do it later. So they requested consideration to have that done. So the change order is for $4,315, bringing the total project for the fence to $29,805.
I know this is kind of late to ask this, but why are we putting that fencing all the way around there?
For security.
Yeah, well, why couldn't you just fence off the opening and gate it?
You mean the opening of the salt shed itself?
Yeah.
Because we are going to use it as a laydown, similar to what we're doing with the DPW building. So we're going to have we're gonna move the poles over to that location, but we're also gonna have transformers. We're gonna set up a spot over there for the transformers. And David's gonna have some of his material or equipment in that area. So, you know, we need to have it, we'd like to have it secured. Similar to, like I said, like if we have the DPW area.
I got a question for you, Ray, on the following changes to be done to the original job. It says no longer furnish and install any privacy slats.
Yeah,
Would that be a savings, whatever the privacy slats are?
Yeah, well, the privacy slats, those are those like you see on the south side or the east side of the DPW fencing, where you have Norwood apartments. We put those privacy slats up, mainly because of the material flying in and out on that side. You get a lot of wind.
Now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we were going to put them on the side by Kingsley North, but you know, walking around and looking at it, they're like, well, why do we need these right now? We could always come back later and have them installed if it becomes a problem.
Well, that's not a really big item, I would assume then.
They're a little more expensive than you think, yeah.
Okay, now originally, the estimate for this job was $100,000, give or take a few dollars, right?
That, I don't know if that included the fencing though.
No, no, that was, I don't think that was the fencing. The fencing was extra because, like I said, originally it was 100,000. I believe it was. I'm pretty sure it was really. And then there was, it came in at 130 some thousand, which was roughly 35% over budget. I know the DDA is kicking in, and now you got this on top of that. So I'm coming up with almost $150,000 for this, where we started off, the estimate was 100. And you know, I voted against the fence that first time around, and I'm going to vote against it this time too.
Yeah, that's not accurate though. We're only adding now another $4,000, so not 150. But
another $4,000.
Yeah, I understand that. That's you know, this is something that the guys are asking for. So,
have they ever had any issues with security down there?
Well, we haven't laid anything down out there other than we had that old building with the salt. You know, I mean, we had some stuff out there, but we do have people coming in and out.
Yeah, boat sitting out there with the motor for how long? With a brand new motor on it. Nobody took that.
Yeah.
When I mentioned that a long time ago to be put away.
Well, it was out because they were cleaning the building and then they put it back in. So it wasn't out for all that long, but we, you know, I think it's common practice that if you have an area like that, and our insurance company probably say the same thing, that if you have equipment, if you have materials, that it's you know, it's common practice that you secure your areas.
This is an automated gate?
No, not right now. The what I mentioned with the pole was that down the road, if we put an automated system in, then it's going to be less expensive for us to install it that way.
So right now with the gate opening, they can't get in there. Is that the problem? Or they just the convenience of having it bigger? No,
that they looked at the 16 feet and they said that when they bring in the trucks in and out, that it's going to be a bit tight. So they just asked to add 8 feet to it so that it wouldn't be so tight.
What's the opening at the garage now? For the
It's 24. The current garage is 24.
What are they planning on storing in the yard?
Well, we're going to move our poles, our utility poles, because right now they're underneath the merit line. And
okay, so utility poles. Nobody's stealing those. What's next?
Transformers.
Wasn't there a transformer that was out behind the?
Yeah, that's a safety issue. If kids get in there, if people get in there, I mean, you know, that's a safety issue. We shouldn't have anybody messing around with it. All of that's a safety issue. Do you want somebody messing around on our property? You know, I mean.
Now are the transformers outside?
The transformers are outside right now. We actually like to try and get them, and we should, from an environmental standpoint, actually get them under cover. We have in a longer term plan to put like an overhang so that we can keep the rain and everything off of them.
So if we were to take those poles out of the yard because they, like Jeff said, nobody's stealing poles. So if we were to take the poles out of there, put them over there without a fencing and put whatever we had to in replace the poles over there,
We've already approved the
it'd save us
fence.
some money.
You've already approved the fence. This is just a change order.
Yeah.
So this is basically just talking about the 16 to 24 foot opening.
Any other questions? If not, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that change order number 1 be approved for the salt shed fencing for a price of $4,315, bringing the total fence price to $29,805.
Do I have a support?
Well, since you put the fence up, I guess you got to put a gate in. Support.
Mr. Menegini,
No.
Mr. Marraro,
Yes.
Mr. Pop,
No,
Mrs. Brew,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer.
Yes.
Right, just one other thing. I want to make it clear, going back to the wastewater department, the heat tape. We approved it. When we approved that, did we approve who got the bid for it? I don't think we did.
I did not. I did not to Candy. That was me that made the motion, and it was MJ Electric.
Grant, do we have to re-vote on that or no?
Grant, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I've been having some technical issues, so I was getting frozen up earlier. I think even though it wasn't referenced the name of it, the amount references who it was. I think that's a clarifying. There was only one bid at $2,000, so I think that bid is by implication to the individual that bid it, which was MJ.
Okay, I just wanted to go back and double check that.
Yeah, Grant,
I apologize for not catching that with the technical issues.
You're talking so slow. We thought you were under the influence of marijuana.
All right, we're gonna go on to address from the audience. Anyone wishing to address the council on any item will be unmuted and given an opportunity to make their comments. For participants on Zoom, you can use the raise your hand feature and the host will initiate the unmute. For telephone participants, hit 9 to initiate a request to speak. State your name and address for the records. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person.
Okay, there are no hands being raised, so we can move on.
All right, we're gonna move on to council comments. Scott?
yeah, I got something I'd like to say. We're getting pretty late in the year now, and we know the weather's out there. It's turned to the worst. I would like to express my disappointment in what's going on with that project that's been out at Marion Park for 3 years now. This was supposed to be a summer that things were taken care of with nothing going on, not as much going on. And here it is once again, 3 months later. It's the same, just keeps repeating every single week, every single month. Then people forget about it. That money was earmarked 3 years ago for that to get done. And there's still nothing done out there. That's all I have.
And that money was earmarked for that. I agree with you, Scott.
Absolutely.
And we do have to get that done.
I keep hearing, oh, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. The people who are organizing, trying to get it done, have talked about it. Let's get it going on it, and it goes nowhere.
Yeah, and I don't know what we can get done now. Like you said, the snow is gonna start flying. We're supposed to get snow, what, tomorrow or Wednesday?
Yep. It's just another year.
Is that all you have, Scott?
That's all.
Right.
That's all.
Brett?
I have a couple questions, maybe more for Mary than anyone. When I look at the balances for September, our general fund is up like 451,000 from last year at this time. One of concern is our television fund is behind by 69,000 right now. And our sewer fund is also behind by 146,000 at this point. Just looking for some clarity maybe on the television and sewer fund, why maybe they're behind and why the general fund is so much more than it was last year.
Brett, I'd probably have to do a little research on it and give you a report, for the next meeting.
Okay.
But just to clarify, cable and wastewater you said are down.
Yes, television fund is down 69,000 and the sewer fund is down 146,000.
Okay. Let me do a little homework on that and I'll get back to you.
All right, thank you, Mary. That's all I have, Andy.
Brett,
Okay.
one thing, and Mary, maybe you can, tell me if I'm off base here, but the revenues, the revenue sales are 1 month behind on the trial balance. It's just the way that they come in. So our expenses typically, whenever I look at the trial balance, I always try to estimate, where that month should have been. Because
So last year's already figured into that, so that's where
Yeah,
you see
they-
the deficits is.
well, yeah, it gets into, once you get to the end of the year, into July and you do the final balancing, they come through. But when you're looking at the trial balance on a month by month basis, the utility bills don't come in a month later. They lag. So like when we're doing budget, we have to go back. We have 8 months of expenses and 7 months of revenue. So we have to look and see what that 8 months of revenue is going to be to match it up. So it's just the way that our billing goes.
So we don't do,
Am I off base with that? That could be a little
we don't
bit.
do, we don't do estimated during the year. So that's where the discrepancy is.
Yeah, we don't do estimates. We do all actuals, so. But Mary, is that accurate to say it that way?
It is, but Brett, are you looking at the cash balances on that first sheet?
Yes.
Is that what you're looking at? So you're not looking at the revenues expenses, you're just looking strictly
Or
at
you're
the
just
cash
looking at
balances?
balances?
Yes, yep.
Okay. Yeah, it's a true statement what you said, Ray, but it would have also applied to the year before too. So
Correct.
I'll just do a little homework on that.
And like I said, it just, the couple that we're behind on, we've had some issues in them funds in the past. And I just don't want to see us getting another hard spot.
Okay.
That's all I have, Candy. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you for bringing that up. Jeff?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I'd like to, say how much I agree with most Mr. Pop, and of course, Candy, you backed up Mr. Pop on the project that never gets completed. I would really like to know what the plan is to get that done and actually get it done. Ray, where are we at in regards to okay, now the parks are completed, or at least the construction of the parks is mostly completed. The pocket parks I'm talking about. The statue's up. Are the cameras up and functional?
Yes,
Okay, so we have cameras covering both parks up and functional right now.
yes. Well, we don't have a camera on the Veterans Park.
Nothing on Veterans Park yet?
No. Well, we don't have a location. I mean, we've gone back and forth as to the best location for it, but so we really haven't cited anything yet. Find out what's the best way to put one up. So that's still under discussion.
Well, now that we've got, I know there's no statues in there yet or any memorials or anything there yet, but we still have the money sunk in there with beautiful landscaping and things. I hate to see somebody go in there and, you know, destroy things, vandalize things, you know, graffiti things. Can we get that kicked up on the agenda? Do we make that a priority?
Sure, we can make,
Okay, thanks. The last thing I'd like to talk about is, you know, we got a big election coming up here soon. Just remind everybody, it's, you know, one great thing about this country is we have free elections, and it's very important that everybody gets out there and votes. So that's all I have, Kenny.
All right, Lee?
Yeah, Ray, on the grease in the sewer. I see that we're making progress on that, but the one big violator, are we going to prioritize this and keep pushing them on this issue, or kind of back off on it?
no,
Because it sounds like it could be a big project for them.
yeah. We own the property, if that's the one I think you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I've talked with staff about the details of that line, and we're also talking with the code. We're looking at how the best way to address that as well. So it's not going to be forgotten. It's got to be addressed. In fact, it should have been addressed, you know, when they first built the project. I don't understand the design of it in the first place, but we may be looking at having a septic as opposed to having that line run all the way across.
Yeah, that makes more sense, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe when that was done, they didn't have the codes that they have now. That's why it was done the way it was, you know? I don't know.
I think they had the codes. I think that they were looking at, you know, when, that was pretty shortly after I showed up here. It's not because of me. Our auditor, we got into conversations, and one of the things, especially looking at our bond covenants, is that in the past we didn't charge our utility, our different departments for utilities, and we said that, you know, one is we have to be able to track our utilities. So if we're not tracking them, if we're not reading meters and doing that, then we're not fully tracking losses. The second is that our bond covenants don't allow us to not charge, you know, so we do interdepartmental charges back and forth for utilities. Well, I'm guessing that in the 90s when they built the new clubhouse, and maybe in the old clubhouse, that because the city owned it, that it was just never on the bill, and they just felt that that was the best way to go. But we changed that. So,
Well, it's an item that's costing the sewer department damage. So, only other thing I have here is it's a shame that they're going to shut down the schools again for 2 weeks. I know it's going to put a bind on a lot of people, but there's nothing that we can really do about it. And on a lighter note, I would like to, if I didn't get in too much trouble, go and put a mask on the big Viking, COVID mask on the big Viking statue. I think that'd be kind of neat.
Is that it, Lee?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. I just have a couple questions. Are we gonna keep the dumpster out there for a while yet?
yeah, I've talked to David about keeping that dumpster for a while, into December or longer than we normally do. He does have concerns about it getting in the way with the snow and the snow plowing. So at this point, you know, want to try and make that, you know, see what we can do before the newsletter comes out in November so that we can let everybody know. Hopefully within the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be able to let you guys know exactly, you know, where we're going to stand with that.
I'm a big supporter of keeping them dumpsters out because I really think it keeps our town a lot cleaner. It might cost us a little money, but with that there, people seem to clean up their stuff a lot better in their yards. And yeah, just remember, get out and vote. Election's coming in November. That's all I have. Ray?
No, I don't have anything. Again, yeah, we got the election coming up, November 2nd or 3rd. I'm sorry, November 3rd. And a lot of absentees. So, we're probably going to have a lower number of people at the polls. But, just be safe. Be respectful when you come in the polling area. We're going to try and do our distancing and do everything and try to keep people safe. One thing I want to mention is that this has become an issue, not just here, but across the country, actually. In the state of Michigan, there is a law, however you put it, of you can't have any political advertisements within 100 feet of the poll. And that means no candidate shirts, hats, jackets, masks. This year, they're really putting out the list. They're putting masks on the list. You see the big whatever on the mask. And so don't do that. We can't let you in. We're going to have somebody watching. And we just, we're not allowed to have any of that at the polling place. So, but we're looking forward to getting through a clean election and, go out and vote.
I can't wait for all this to get over with.
Either.
Grant, do you have anything?
No, Madam Mayor, thank you.
Andy, I got a couple more things I forgot.
That's fine.
First of all, nothing but compliments on the roads that were done. People are liking that their car's not vibrating going up Norway Hill and down Curry Road.
Yep.
And another, Ray, are you getting any complaints about leaves? Because I see a lot of people putting their leaves on the roads.
I'm not
Remind people.
getting complaints, but I see the same thing you're saying, that they're putting the leaves on the roads. I don't want them to do that. Again, like I mentioned before, we get out the last week of October and that first week of November and get the leaves up. If we started now, we'd be running for 3-4 weeks, chasing leaves. So
Yeah, they're not all down yet.
no, I know the leaves in my yard, I'm always chasing them right before deer season. It seems like the buggers stay up there till right to the bitter end. And I don't even have oak trees or maple trees. So, but yeah, keep them off the road. I haven't gotten complaints, but I notice it when I drive around.
Good. That's all.
Has anybody ever gotten a ticket for pushing their leaves out on the road?
We have not ticketed. We can though, and we've.
Well, it's just like all these rules and regulations we have. If we can't enforce them or don't enforce them, why even bother to have them?
Don't hold back, but you give it to them, buddy.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Support.
Mr. Marrero,
Yes.
Mr. Pop,
Yes.
Mrs. Brew,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Menegini.
Yes.
Have a
Meeting
good
is-
night, everyone.
Have a good one, everybody.